Kelly Bevins, how
Just
are
wait
you?
till roll call, Bill. They'll say it all.
I
Jeff.
can't, I'm impatient.
Just wait. Just be patient.
It says D. Wasso up there.
It does.
You've been changed.
I have been.
Yeah.
It was.
Yep.
All right, it's it is 4:30. We'll call the Charter Commission with the joint meeting of the Public Utilities Commission to order. We'll start with roll call. Tony?
Jan Lambert, Norwood,
Here.
Shipe,
Here.
Bevins,
Here.
England,
Here.
Higgins,
Here.
Wasso.
Next we have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next we'll be looking for an approval of the agenda.
So moved, Norwood.
Second, Lambert.
Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. The agenda is approved. I'll be looking for an approval of the minutes from November 5th and December 17th.
Lambert, approve the minutes.
Second by Norwood.
Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Move on to item 6A, continued discussion on the charter updates. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be brief in my comments. We really want to hear from the other members of the dais other than me. But from our last discussion on December 17th, the Charter Commission directed staff to remove the Public Works Commission language and combine infrastructure under the Public Utilities Commission. The proposed changes are attached, as well as a modified red line, I'll talk about that here in a moment, version for your consideration. In our opinion, a traditional red line was not really conducive in this case. Rather, staff, what we chose to do, the first 12 pages of this are essentially a clean version of the proposed charter that staff has put together. The subsequent 12 pages are our existing charter, and for each section at the very top, we pointed to a section in the proposed charter where the substance of that paragraph was captured. And then at the end of each section, if there were some noteworthy changes, we made some noteworthy comments. So hopefully that's beneficial. We'll certainly get feedback if it was not. There's two items I just want to bring up before I hand it over to you, Mr. Chair. We just thought these were important to discuss broadly and make public comment at the outset of this meeting. All enterprise funds. And secondly, really, if we look back at kind of the catalyst, what drive this whole conversation was, City Council asked staff to say, hey, staff, can you guys find out a way to rewrite the charter to combine sanitary? So I just want to put it out there for the Charter Commission, if all you want to do is just combine sanitary, we could make a couple changes to the existing charter and we could approve it. And this goes back to Mike's point a month or so ago. You know, if you just want to get something passed, we can make a couple changes, combine sanitary. You know, you guys could adopt sections 39 through 46 under the Public Utilities Commission, and we could leave the rest of the charter as is. But also, when we kicked off this whole process, I asked the Charter Commission if staff could take the liberty of looking at the document from beginning to end, and you said we could. So we wanted to present both. We have a full proposed charter for you to consider. If you just want to combine sanitary, that can be done relatively quickly. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chair. I think most of the staff is here. We'll be happy to answer questions you have.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone from our friends on the PUC want to share thoughts? Figure we can start 39 to 46, and then if anyone from that group has to leave, we can dig into the other fun stuff. Mike, sounds like you've got, go ahead.
I have talked to a couple people about this and spent a little bit of time going through it, and I think that staff's done an outstanding job on simplifying and minimalizing it. I'm okay either way with referring to what Nick was talking about. I would like to thank Nick and staff for doing the modified red line version. As somebody that has to read a red line document about twice a week, and I struggle with it. This was awesome, an awesome way to show an old excavator operator, you know, what you did in the changes, so I appreciated that. I talked to Paul at length today. I think he's got a real good beat on how this would work and how the city would run and how it would minimalize and simplify things from an operations standpoint, which I think will help us get more done in the city on a day-to-day basis. So I don't have a lot to say. I mean, I'll listen, and, you know, of course, this has to get a 7-0 vote on city council or go to referendums, but I would, either way, if it's just a simple change of getting sanitary in, but I think this is you guys have done an outstanding job, and I'm pretty proud and thankful that you put the time in it and where we got it to. So that's all I got for now.
Thank you. Other, Dolly, go ahead.
I want this on record. I would agree with you, Mr. Higgins.
Is that 2 meetings in a row?
I know what you said to me after the last meeting. I'm just teasing, though. But yeah, I would agree. I think a little bit of the confusion over time has been the separation of why is the financial not all under one roof, with the sanitary not being under one roof? And it does make sense, and if it's as streamlined or as, and I don't want to downplay it, but if it's as simple as combining that seems like it would be the most common sense thing to do. So therefore, I mean, I would agree with that as long as I think staff is in agreement with that. It is tough to go through and make the changes, so it is very much appreciated. But I do believe, I feel like that was the route that we were trying to head down. So that would be just my input on that one, and to simplify the financials a little bit more. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I echo both commissioners. I mean, I think staff's done an amazing job, and I really don't have a lot to offer in terms of any additional changes or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody, there's nobody online, right, Max? All right, thanks. Go ahead, Nick.
Just a comment. I'm not sure if this reflects your comment. When we talk finance, we intentionally, we intended anyways to write this proposed charter. So right now, the finance is still segregated. And I think whether finance stays segregated, whether finance becomes integrated, I think this charter will be a good model for either one of those. And we did that by intention. That still leaves the decision makers the latitude to make those future decisions if they want to combine and integrate finance, or if they don't want to leave it as is. I think this charter would stand.
And to clarify my point, I think it was the sack and whack. It was always separated, and it went to City Hall here, and that's, I guess, when I say combination of the finances, that's what I was referring to. Thanks.
Can I, and I guess thank you, Dolly, and Mike and Nick, but, you know, what I found interesting with my conversation with Mr. Sandy today was the way this is written and the way, with all the staff putting the work into it that they've put into it, you know, they're the ones that really have to run the city day to day. You know, we come to a meeting a couple times a month and we get staff reports and we talk to them, but it was important for me to hear Paul talk about the fact that they wrote this and they know, they dug into it and they did their homework and they can take this and go do what they gotta do. And they can do it in a minimalistic, simple way, which in my world, the more minimal and simple I can keep it, the more I can do. The more complicated and the more time we have to spend talking about stuff that maybe doesn't have to be done is less time that I can build another venue or do something new at BIC. So I think for the city, it's the same. So I think it's important to know that, you know, staff at the end of the day have to take this document and run with it. And they built it, and I think they did a good job. Thanks.
Thank you. James and Jan, any thoughts?
I do.
Go ahead.
My first question would be to Councilmember Chesak. In your purview. In your opinion, is it something that, with the changes that are being proposed, there is a mountain of changes that are being proposed within the charter. Is there an expedited necessity for what we started out as being pulling the gravity and putting that under public utilities? Is there, that's primarily the main push from what I've sensed and seen as for the charter changes, is that is the main activation. Is there a need to do that quickly?
I don't know what quickly, it's subjective, what you're asking me, like a time frame to get it done?
More or less, is that something that you would foresee needing to be done within the next 3 to 4 months?
Oh, I mean, based on what I see here, speaking of the gravity, one thing I like about this is we don't have force main lift stations separated out. You can't have a gravity system without force main and lift stations. But yet it was separated out in the charter that that's the sole responsibility of the utility commission, but yet the council sets the rates for the gravity. It's counterintuitive. And that's been removed, as far as I know, unless somebody sees it differently. Would that be correct, Mr. Broyles?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So that would imply then that the gravity includes force main and lift stations, and that, I can't think of a more sensible way of doing this than having those all together. And so when rates are set, that money from the rates is also applied to paying for those as well. As far as a time frame, whether it takes a month or 6 months, I don't see anything here that I would say absolutely not. I like how it's laid out with the responsibility. I would have one question. I think in the end, the council does have authority through the statute 429. If commission says, oh, we're going to do this project, and maybe Nick, you could explain this, or Paul, would it be fair to say that if the commission says, well, here's our 5-year projects, we're going to plan to do this street, this underground, whatever year it is, the council still has to approve the assessments before that gets underway? Would that be correct?
That is correct. If any assessments that's going to be levied upon the taxpayers has to be approved by the city council. Short of that, and Paul, you can jump in if I'm wrong, but short of that, that authority could be delegated to the Public Utilities Commission. Paul, do you have anything to add?
Yeah,
If I may,
so-
Mr. Chair. Is that okay?
Thank you. We talked about this a little bit, and Jesse and I had a discussion about this too. And, you know, Jesse currently at a city council level prepares a 10-year capital improvement plan. And the way I see this kind of working out is the PUC is, you know, they set the budget for the current enterprise funds, and with these proposed changes, that would not change. You know, we would still set our budget. We would prepare the 10-year capital improvement plan, present it to the PUC, but in the end, our budget at the Public Utilities Commission still gets approved by the city council. I see that 10-year capital plan going in front of the city council at the same time as the budget does, and getting approved by the council on an annual basis. And then when projects that are initiated that require special assessments to be levied, those projects would come before the council regularly as you move through the statute 429 process. So it would really be, the 10-year capital plan would go in front of another commission to ensure that all of the utility needs and the street needs and everything are being captured within the 10-year capital plan. But in the end, our budget and our capital plan is still recommended to the council for approval every December. And so it's another layer of I'll call it oversight on the 10-year capital plan. It makes sure that we're aligned from a street and utility perspective. The PUC would provide kind of a sounding board to make adjustments and changes if our projects are not aligned. And at the end of the day, every December, we'd be in front of the city council with a 10-year updated capital improvement plan and the proposed budget for all the rest of the enterprise funds.
So if I could, to kind of just weigh in on, or maybe get just down to how the council at a point, once the, your projects are approved by the commission at the utility level, there's a point in time there where you would have to notify the public that we're gonna do this project. These are the anticipated assessments. That is a public hearing. The commission wouldn't be doing the public hearing though, as far as I understand.
Correct.
Okay, and in that regard, if the council didn't vote to do that, that would stop the project. Would that be correct?
It would stop, it wouldn't necessarily stop the project, it would stop the special assessment project, or the special assessment process from moving forward. And if that means it kills the project, that would be a council decision.
Yeah,
You know, we historically, we assess for every resurfacing and reconstruction project, so anything street-related besides like seal coating or patching, that would all be coming to the city council like it does today, because they're driving the special assessment project. So if the council doesn't want to move forward with assessments on the project, maybe you could take that as the project is killed based on past practice. But, you know, certainly the council is the driver of any project that has special assessment.
It would be, I guess, another layer of oversight if there was something that, you know, the majority of the council said, nah, we don't want to do this for whatever reason. Not that I would foresee that, but I think as far as oversight, that would, generally speaking, it seems to be that's a council, you know, like approval of the budget, your capital improvements, that's all approved by the council for that oversight. So the assessments, I think, would still be in the same scope of oversight. So as far as I understand how this works, so.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think too, as a commissioner, the way Paul just described that, and Jeff, is the way it should be logically. I'm not an elected official, I'm an appointed official. And I'm appointed because of a skill set that I have and experience that I have, and I'm a stakeholder in this community. But at the end of the day, I like that the city's gotta go approve our budget, because they're elected. The council's elected, the voters put them in place, and I like the way that sounds, feels, is gonna operate, and how it's gonna work. And I guess on top of that, I guess I'd just like to ask James a question. What's your question on the timeline? I think it kind of got bounced around a little bit, but I'd like a little more
The insight that I'm
insight on the timeline question.
The tackling the charter as a whole and working through the proposed language that we have here, I don't foresee it as being a short, easy, quick fix kind of a situation. I'm trying to find if the fix that we have set out originally within the gravity side is something that we want to tackle immediately and then tackle the mountainous work of the entire charter, or if we are just going to tackle the entire mountainous portion of the charter within the time that it takes. If there is a necessity to tackle the gravity fed side and move that under public utilities, we can do that very rapidly tonight and get it done, and then tackle the rest. Otherwise, if there isn't a necessity for getting that done and squared away immediately right now, then we can proceed with the conversation that will take months, potentially a year.
You think that getting what's approved in here is gonna take a year?
That is my perception.
Interesting.
If I could now, since that question initially, you were asking me about timing, and I would say, Commissioner Norwood, that I wouldn't limit that to just the sanitary gravity sewer. Based on what I see here, I think the other elements of what the charter change allows, puts on the plate of the Public Utility Commission, that looks pretty good to me. I think I would echo everything that Mike and Dolly said. I can't see any part of that would give me a pause. So if you were to say, is it just the sanitary sewer, I'd say, why not at all? I mean, at this point, read through this, and I've asked numerous questions. So if that's if you're just saying sanitary sewer, we still have storm, we still have streets, and we have everything on the plate as identified here with electrical, gravity, treatment, water. It seems like a good way to go we talked about everything under one roof.
Yeah.
If that answers your question, I don't see that being a process here that if you're gonna do sanitary, why not everything? That's how I am, so. Does that help you?
A little bit?
Okay.
I guess I would just say too, Chair, if I may, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and from everything I'm studying and hearing and learning, the money we get from the state, it might not be there. And if we spend a year messing around with this and we keep putting some of these projects back and we keep spending time talking about this instead of going out and doing what's got to be done with our waste treatment plant, with our lift stations, with our road projects, I think the sense of urgency on this should be way more than a year. I can't, and if Jeff's not picking this thing apart, just to be honest with everybody, you know, I can't imagine why it would take a year. I would do this in my world in a couple weeks, and I think it's almost insulting to the staff to say this is gonna take a year. They have put, I mean, where this has came in 2 months is pretty wild. I'm very impressed and very proud of our staff. So I guess I would just disagree, Mr. Norwood, that this would take a year. I don't see that, and I don't understand that. And frankly, I don't think we have a year with everything happening in our state politically and with there possibly being no bond bill this year, zero, like no bond money, like they're not even, I mean, it's pretty wild what they're talking about at the state level. I think they should have a lot higher sense of urgency, and we should try to figure out how to get this done. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just one question for staff, and Nick, if you could answer this. To be able to push through certain sections that you've worked on, I guess, what is the process as far as, maybe walk us through it? Because I know you talked about the charter as a whole as opposed to sections that you've worked on over the last couple of months.
I mean, you guys are, I mean, the Charter Commission, I say you guys, the Charter Commission, you guys are only really limited by your own actions. You can, if you want to take, we have a current charter that exists today. We have a proposed charter that you have before you tonight. If you want to change one sentence out of this, that can be done very quickly. If you want to change 2 pages out of this, it can be done very quickly. If you want to change all 12 pages and go to these 12 pages, it can all be done. My personal opinion is I would lean into this more. I would be more aggressive. I agree. I guess I agree with Commissioner Higgins. These decisions that I think need to be, there's not a lot of substantive changes. There's some happy to glad changes. There's cleaning it up, some formatting changes. I would be more aggressive than less aggressive. And I guess to Commissioner Norwood's point, there's 3 Charter Commission members. If 2 out of the 3 of you vote to forward this tonight and it goes before council, we'll have a pretty good indication pretty quickly if the council likes it or not. And if they come back and say, heck no, just change this one paragraph, then that's what we'll come back to the Charter Commission to do. But I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time at the Charter Commission because then we send to council and they might just say, do it all over again anyway. So I'm not trying to diminish the Charter Commission. I'm not trying to elevate the city council. But procedurally, it's got to come out of this body with a majority vote. It's got to get through the city council with unanimous vote. I would be more aggressive, I guess, in my opinion, than less aggressive. And this can happen as fast or as slowly. And I'm not arguing for one or the other, as the Charter Commission or the City Council wanted to.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, James, hearing the feedback so far, I think having some maybe tweaks for staff tonight and then picking it up in a couple of weeks, doing a final pass and then getting it to the council is, I think, kind of where I'm at. To Nick's point, getting that temperature check earlier than later. And if, right, I think based on how that goes, we would then, as a commission, be able to say, oh, well, we really just need to maybe attack public utilities first and then come back to other things later, or if it's, hey, change this one paragraph and we're good on everything, then, right, we can do that too. But yeah, I would like to move pretty quickly, I think, at least to get a first temperature check from the council. I don't know how you're feeling, Jan.
I agree. I agree. I think we should just kind of keep moving on this and, like you said, see how the council feels on it.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
I would move that, with proposed language, that we move it towards council. For a point of discussion, I would like to hear what your edits would be. So looking for a second.
I'll second. Lambert, or second.
Question, James, are you saying you want to send this to council with my thoughts, or?
I'm open to a friendly amendment. That's why I'm making a motion, so that way we can discuss and find out what your specific edits are.
Okay. Cool. Are there, I guess, do you guys have specific things you want to run through?
No.
Anything for you, James?
As far as edits,
Yeah.
I was hoping that you would go first.
Okay. Perfect. And then, just because we've got a lot of folks here, any other thoughts on public utility sections before we get into the weeds of the other parts? Just
Mr. Chair, I like what we have in the Public Commission, Utilities Commission, so I do like how that's written.
I guess if you're asking, Mr. Bevins has been pretty quiet tonight. I was just wondering, maybe a little pulse test on what he thinks of the document that he's looking at.
Highly irregular, by the way.
I know.
I think my mic is broke. As the only elected official on the Charter Commission who doesn't get a vote, I was the only one to support this 1-6 nearly a year ago, this discussion. I got this 3 days ago. Something, and I think it's big and I like it. My recommendation would be to vote Mr. Norwood's motion down and have a charter commission meeting in 10 days. Just because I'd like a little bit more time to parse the whole document. But I agree with Mr. Norwood, it should go to the council, maybe the second meeting in February. I think that's soon enough. That's 2 weeks longer, but that's my opinion. Otherwise, what I've read in the short period of time I've had this, I like it. I like it a lot.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, I'm gonna run through these. Question about section 9, appointed officials. It mentions 5 library board members, but we have 9 today.
Want me to comment?
Yeah.
And we talked about this amongst staff. I'd love to hear what the Charter Commission members have to think. We, as a staff, are suggesting that number does drop from 9 to 5. We would not request that anybody step off the board. We would just handle that through attrition. And as people drop off, just don't backfill until it drops down to 5. That would be staff's recommendation, but love to hear what the Charter Commission thinks about that.
I think my big concern was what happens to I think there's 8 right now because there's 1 opening. Kelly, do you have thoughts since you're the council liaison for that as well?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah. So the proposed charter reduces the library board from 9 members to 5. The idea being that as folks leave, they wouldn't be replaced until.
And this just exemplifies my last comment. The library board meets in a week. If they don't have a problem with it, I'd go to 5. Simpler is better.
Cool.
May I, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Mr. Chesak.
The other thing that I did want to ask about, I'm glad you asked that, is it's appointments, the terms for utility commission members are every 4 years, and because there was 5 utility commission members, they had a 5-year term, so every year there was an opening. Is that, is there, did I misunderstand, did I read that incorrectly? Is that what the proposed language is, to go from 5-year terms to 4-year terms for utility commission members?
Utility.
Apologize, I'm going entirely off of memory here, so.
No, you're good. Paul, can you speak?
Yeah,
to
if
that?
I may, Mr. Chesak. So we were trying to align all of the boards and commissions that are within the charter to have similar term lengths and similar sizes. And we based the 4-year term length on the terms of the president and the vice president, because there are situations where you might have a term ending, say your president has their term ending mid-cycle of being president. That's the reason we did go to the 4-year term for commissioners, so that every 2 years that that president and vice president get elected, and there's no possibility of a president being off the commission midterm of their being president. If that makes sense.
One thing I did note too is that everybody has the option of serving until replacements are made, which is similar to the airport commission. It's identical to that. That's always been, once your term ends, you're done. And that's an option, obviously. A person says, I'm not gonna serve anymore, my term's done. That's just makes it available to serve. Is that correct? I mean, I see
Yes.
the word.
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't you can't mandate somebody to serve, so. But I do like that. I've always liked that, because if, for instance, if Mark O'Day, we don't have a replacement yet for Mark O'Day, he could sit here tonight and still be serving if that language were adopted. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Nick?
Just a comment, it just reminded me, this is just semantics. If people have an affinity to terms, we can certainly change them. The staff was intentional also that we reserve the terms president and vice president strictly for the council. All the other boards and commissions, we had chair and vice chair. It's just semantics. If people have an affinity for certain terms, I couldn't care one way or the other. It's just, that's a happy to glad change as far as I'm concerned.
On the library board, if I could, isn't that set up by statute? I'm sure somebody, Connie, do you know?
It is set by statute, and I do believe statute says you can have 5 to 9 board members.
Okay. Doesn't require that, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Connie. All right. Section 19, it talks about, in the case of a special election, the judges, clerks, and other officials of elections at the last general election for state officials shall be the same judges, clerks, and other officials for all special city elections. That feels like it might be difficult to, oh yeah, Connie.
That's actually per state statute as well.
Oh, okay.
So we train election judges every 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's why we have them be the same judges. Like if somebody can't serve or doesn't want to serve, obviously we can find a replacement for them.
Oh, okay.
But generally they want you, like we can't change polling places, for example, just on a whim. Everything has to be
Sure.
set up. So my understanding is that that's state statute, and that's why we have it in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, what if somebody can't serve at the special? That makes sense.
If they can't, then we have to do special training and all that kind of stuff, so.
Awesome, thank you. For section 20 about city council leadership, it felt a little odd to me that this came before section 23, which talks about appointing leadership on the council. That's maybe a very minor thing, but I was just reading that and I was like, oh, okay, like it talks about the president of the council, but then section 23 is like, here's how you elect the president of the council. Okay, thanks. Section 24, city council meetings, the very last sentence. It says city council should not meet on a Sunday, a legal holiday, or a day of a general special election. We might want to, I didn't check the current charter, but what a legal holiday is, like, is it a state holiday? Is it a federal holiday? Because we're getting to the point where we have more differences in holidays between
Not wrong.
those entities. All right, thank you. Section 25. It talks about ordinance shall be filed with the city clerk. I don't think the charter necessarily defines a city clerk. I don't know if that's a problem or if that should be in section 9 where we define other roles. It's hard because the charter is like pretty vague today about certain, yeah.
And this is, if I may, I might ask Connie a question too. We don't use the term city clerk as a matter of course in the city of Brainerd. I believe I am the city clerk as well as the city administrator. If we just wanted to do away with city clerk, I'm okay with that too. But I am in fact the city clerk and the city administrator. But we don't really use that term as a matter of course in our city.
I think we'd want to check with Joe too. I do believe he said by state statute, there's automatically a city clerk.
Oh, okay.
So, but I could be not thinking correctly either.
Yeah, and if we just have to have that there, because yeah, it's attested by the city administrator and then filed with the clerk, so.
Is that, just a question on that, is that discussing, like, say I get a CUP and it gets filed at the county and it's on my deed? Is this referencing that process?
I believe this is for ordinances and resolutions.
Well, CUP is an ordinance, right? No, is that different?
That's different.
Okay, never mind then.
Thank you, James. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Keep going.
All right. Oh, did you have something? Section 26 talks about changing the zoning map with only one meeting. Like there's not a second reading.
Yeah, so that was a recommendation from the Community Development Department. Oftentimes when you're looking at kind of major projects, you're having to do a plat, rezoning, potentially CUP or planned unit development. And oftentimes it can be confusing that you have to do essentially 2 readings right now in order to pass a zoning map change. So since it's already gone to the Planning Commission's held a public hearing, you've already had that other meeting. It made sense to staff to propose that could all be done at one meeting at the city council level to essentially move development faster and make it less confusing to developers and council members.
How does that fit? Like to Mike's point, you need, like you're building a new type of business and you need a conditional use permit and to have it rezoned?
No, that's only if you're requesting a rezoning. So for instance, there was a property on Oak Street that wanted a specific use that isn't allowed in their zoning district, so they requested a rezoning. It was for an animal shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that, it actually took 2 meetings at the council level with other approvals that were needed, and it kind of made the process a little bit more confusing. So staff is recommending that's done in 1 meeting.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one more question. Is the planning commission cool with that?
So they don't really have purview on that. It's more of a council issue. Planning commission, nothing would change essentially. They'd still have their public meeting. They'd still they'd still be required to hold the public hearing for a zoning map change. So nothing changes on the planning commission side of things.
Okay, thank you. All right. Section 27, I was glad to see the rabies exception for emergency ordinances going away. Felt like a different era, so it's a nice one. Okay, section 29, the last 2 sentences. It says, all other ordinances shall take effect upon initial publication. And then all resolutions shall take effect. Oh, I just misread that. Never mind. Okay. It's ordinances and resolutions. That's me reading. All right. Section 36. This is a Charter Commission classic. Within the city limits in subsection 2. I guess that's not changing the language we have currently. But that feels like that might cause some challenges given our history here.
When we were talking about the time frame, I was just wondering when we had to have a question submitted to be on the ballot. in order to be on the general election. I think we talked about if Mr. Higgins, you mentioned the first meeting back in November, that if this didn't get passed by the council, you wanted to get it on the ballot, and I was trying to figure out the date of that, so I'm sorry, I missed the question.
No, no.
Haven't been successful, but yes.
You're good. The language around the 1.5% levies in the city, or sorry, within the city limits. I know Green Space 1 is going to the Arboretum, which is not in the city limits. That's no different than the challenge we're already in today, correct?
And that's currently the charter language. Initially, staff had proposed to maybe remove that within the city limits because the council had to go back and interpret what that meant. We also thought about if there's a project related to the utility that's located in Baxter, we couldn't use those funds to do something over there because it's not within the city. So we thought about it, but then we left it in there thinking it was too much of a change.
Thank you. All right, and then section 37, the first sentence there, it talks about the chair of the P&F committee, and the charter doesn't define that, which I think is okay, Nick, but I wasn't sure if that should be in like the council section. Just like that could change over time, and then the charter references. I just don't want that to tie up something the council might want to do.
I'll just make a note of that. I think my initial thought is probably leave it as is, but let me chew on that a little bit. I mean, I do want to have the chair of the P&F in here for on the annual budget. I think it's appropriate to have them in there. And previously in this draft of the charter, obviously the council has the authority to create and dissolve committees whenever they want. So I think we're okay, but I'll just make a note of it and we'll look at it.
Okay, thank you. And then section 44, subsection 10, this came up while you were talking, Paul. Given kind of the process you described for budgeting, is there maybe an opportunity to move the annual presentation from December to like September to more align with at least how the charter talks about the library and park board? Or are there legal reasons it needs to be in December?
We talked a little bit about this, and I'll probably let Danny discuss that in more detail.
There's no legal reason we couldn't. The challenge with the revenues and how they come in over the summer, we're not seeing where revenues are going to be to estimate a budget until October typically.
Because we're dealing with enterprise funds where money in, money out, we're very careful about how we're spending money throughout the year. And we don't have the full picture until December, where on the city side, they get 2 payments from tax levy, or Connie, I'll let you.
The reason why the library board and the park board are in September, before September 1st, is because those are levied funds. The levy dollars are used to fund those activities, and we have to set our preliminary levy by September 30th. So we need to know what is our full levy going to be, where the rates don't affect the levy, so we can wait until later. So we had to make sure those funds. The other question I have too with that is, I think we can get around it, but if the city council isn't gonna approve the 10-year capital plan for roads until December, if we need something for budget purposes, we'll have to kind of shift that a little bit, and it'll be the estimate, because we levy dollars for our streets as well, for our debt service, and to do those things like the maintenance, street seal coating, and that kind of stuff. So we'll have to work around it a little bit, but that was something I thought of too as we're going through this process.
Cool, I guess it's by December, so you could maybe do some of that earlier, like capital.
Okay. Commission Chair.
Yeah, James.
So on that subject, is there likely to be more communication that ends up existing between the 2 finance departments because of that then?
Yes and no. I feel that we are very transparent between the both of us, and always have been with whoever has been the finance manager or the finance director at the utility. We've always had open lines of communication and gone back and forth. So it will be more work for us in that if there's governmental activities being done by enterprise general ledger, we will have to somehow get that over into the city side. So that's gonna be more creating journal entries to get them back and forth until we can get to a point where we are ready to invest in one software that both of us can go on.
Okay.
All right, section 47, I noticed it removed boulevards, and the current charter doesn't mention traffic circles. So that got me wondering, do boulevards and traffic circles fall in, what is it? Such streets and other public grounds as the council shall by proper resolution designate?
I'm going to say Paul or Mike for that one.
We intentionally tried to clean this up because the council formally dedicates park property, and the existing charter language made it unclear as to what the jurisdiction of the park board was. And the way we looked at this, and Jesse and I and Mike talked about this, is parkland that is formally dedicated by the park or by the city council to the park board is what the park board should have jurisdiction over. When you start working in public rights of way, that is usually tied to street projects, and the maintenance thereof, we feel, would be better handled under the purview of the Public Works Department, call it. Granted, the Parks Department is under Public Works, but it clarifies the role of the park board that the park board has full jurisdiction over the land that the city council designates to you, and takes away that boulevard maintenance and the roundabout maintenance and things that are in public right-of-way that hasn't been dedicated to the park board.
Council Chair. I think this is starting to highlight some of the conversation that keeps on creeping in that is creating for confusion. The park board oversees their specific responsibility, which is not the employees. And so I think that's part of what needs to be kind of honed in within the entirety of the conversation and the bigger picture, is that the park board oversees the strategic development of park and its responsibilities as governed by city council and the charter, but the employees are specifically administration and city council. The employees of the park board, they don't have any. And so Public Works takes care of the right-of-way. And how the process and the personnel of the city ends up dividing how that ends up being taken care of is their purview, their responsibility. It is park board that says we need to plow the sidewalk in the park, not who's doing it.
Yeah, my question was just more about the current charter specifically calls out boulevards as like parkland almost.
And this is a point where I do appreciate the new language. I
do too.
I would like to take I would like to take a moment to say that my critique on earlier is not, it's not because I believe that the proposed language is bad or needing significant amount of work. It's just that it's a mountain of work versus what I was perceiving could be quick and easy. I appreciate staff's time and effort into all of this.
Nick.
I'll just chime in. We've had a lot of talk about this. The question is boulevards, but they're between the sidewalk and the street. Are they, if we had to say one department was in charge of it, is it Parks Department or is it streets? I think staff's opinion is, and I agree, anything that's within the right-of-way should be under Public Works. So I think that was the background of why we took it out of there.
Cool. Yeah, I love the change. I think it's very silly to ask the park board, like, how do you want to maintain the traffic circles? That never made sense, so love that. That was everything I had. Thank you for listening to my list of weird questions. Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak out of turn. I just want to make sure I get this out there just for consideration by the Charter Commission. I'm really glad that Councilman Bevins, he echoed my sentiments exactly. I was thinking exactly what he was thinking. So just as a procedural recommendation going forward, if you will allow us a little bit of latitude to make sure our schedules match up, but if you say, hey, come back to the Charter Commission in 10 to 14 days roughly, I think that's a great idea. I would suggest that rather than we all come in here cold and we all go through and read our comments, if you guys could send me all of your comments, say in a week, whatever those numbers are, if it's a week and we have our meeting in 10 to 14 days, or do you guys want 10 days for comments and we have our meeting in 14 to 18 days, or whatever it is, you guys can decide. But if you send all those comments to me, staff will try to aggregate those. We're gonna make sure they're all captured, and we'll probably put them in the packet, everybody's comments, but we'll try to aggregate them somehow into some type of a text that kind of scratches the most itches. So that's just a recommendation procedurally. I think the meeting next time will go smoother if we don't come in here cold and just go across the dais and start rattling off what we like. So.
All right, so we've got a motion on the table still from James.
Would you like a friendly amendment to the motion? As to rather it going to city council, that it would be going to a meeting in 14 days of the Charter Commission, and within a week have Charter Commission revisions being sent to city administrator?
That works for me if it works for you.
Works for me, too.
Perfect.
Or Tony, you understand the revision, okay?
Thank you, Tony. Cool. All right, any more discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Passes 2-1.
Oh, sorry. I missed the first thing.
Okay.
So I'm in favor of my motion.
Tony, do we need a roll call or something to not make your life terrible from that?
I got it.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Unanimous approval, right?
That was.
Okay. Is this your
In a roundabout way. Question for our public utility friends. Do y'all want to be at our next meeting, or general consensus I got is that you're happy with everything we're not making any changes, we can save y'all some time.
I'll be here anyway.
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, these are open meetings.
Yeah.
It doesn't have,
A joint meeting and,
it doesn't have to be a joint meeting, they can still come. And you can still recognize them.
Cool.
I'll be here, but whatever you want to do, I'm fine. I think I would just say in closing, just even answering the questions that you had, I think they've definitely done their homework and they've got it going on. So hopefully this can move quickly. Hi, Kelly.
Oh, Kelly, yeah.
I presume it's not clear in the motion, but I'm going to have you clarify it right now, that during this 7-day comment period, if a public utilities member has a comment, we would appreciate that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
Nick.
I will send out an email with these timelines that you guys are approving, and I will send that to the full Charter Commission. I'll send it to the full City Council, and I'll send it to the full Public Utilities Commission. And I'll just, everybody knows the suspense date, but it'll be, 7 days or so from now.
Perfect. All right, I'll move on to commission member reports. Jan, anything for you?
It's just a suggestion, excuse me, Tony helped me out today. Could we have it notified, like on our proposed, have it either signal as proposed or a draft copy versus nothing and not knowing that it's approved, that it's proposed or draft, if we could have that. I'd appreciate that.
Cool, thank you. James, anything?
No further report.
Perfect. All I've got is, again, thank you to staff. I know it took a ton of time. I think the entire document is just a great improvement to what we've got. I think it's more concise, it's more clear, more modern. So I appreciate all the time everyone's put in and for being at all these meetings. I know it's late and you've had a long day, so just thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second, Norwood.
Any discussion?
5:24.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Post same sign. We are adjourned.
Good job.